And let's try to break this thing down. We'll do it within reason. And let's look at the word, the four horses of the apocalypse, okay? The word apocalypse does not show up anywhere in the Bible, okay? You can find that word in the Bible. The word apocalypse is a Greek word which actually means revelation. That's what it means. People have attributed to it this horror of doomsday theology and doomsday philosophy. And that's become a doomsday thing. One of the more morbid movies that was made recently was made with, I forget the fellow's name, that guy that called Apocalypse Now. I mean, it was really, and it conjures up, everybody thinks when they hear the word apocalypse, a horror, violence, doom, gloom, gases, and destruction all over the earth. The word does not mean that. We have constructed it to mean that because we didn't understand what fire coming down from heaven and saving people was. When people looked at it literally, they said fire is going to come down from heaven and it's going to save those that are chosen. So this is it became an apocalyptic type of thing instead of a revelation. Okay? The word does not mean horror at all. It means revelation. That's what the Greek word apocalypsis means. Let me show you something. Go to I didn't show what page it's on. Somebody find 1 Corinthians chapter 14 for me and yell out what page that's on, okay? 1 Corinthians chapter 14.
940.
940. Go to page 940. Let me show you something that you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 on page 940, and if you look at verse 26, okay? It says, how is it then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you has a psalm, a doctrine, hath a tongue, hath a revelation. You see that word revelation? That's apocalypsis. In Greek, that's apocalypse. That means a revelation. It does not mean doomsday. All right? So what we're going to do then is get into the book of Revelation this morning, get into the four horses of Revelation, and you're going to find out, and you're going to walk out this door, and you're going to understand what it means. You're going to have it revealed to you. You're going to have it unveiled to you so that you can leave this place and understand, using the principles of biblical mysticism, exactly what it means. First thing doing, breaking through this thing of thinking the apocalypse means some kind of horror and realizing it doesn't. God doesn't write about horrors. God doesn't write about killing things. God doesn't write about doing terrible things to people. That's religion teaches that. That's not a fact. It's not true. You know that simply by the very act of nature itself, that's not true. God is renewal, healing, new life. God is what you see Al Cruz experienced today. And when we start to plug into the truth of Jesus Christ, not what religion says, but what Jesus said, we start to see and reap the benefits from it, okay? So we're going to consider the four horses of Revelation. We're not going to consider the four horses of the apocalypse because obviously from religion we have a distorted understanding of what that means. And how are we going to do that? How are we going to break down the code? How are we going to biblically say we have the authority of the Bible to understand this thing? And I'll show you how we're going to do it. Go to page 541. On page 541, you're going to get to the book of Proverbs. Okay? And the book of Proverbs talks about, in the very first chapter, it talks about wisdom. What is wisdom? And look what it says wisdom is. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 6. And this is what you're going to do today. To understand a proverb, the interpretation. Now watch this next one. The words of the wise and their dark sayings. Okay? What's a dark saying? Do you have any dark sayings in English? Do you understand the dark sayings of English? Let's see. Let's go shoot the bull. That's a dark saying. It says something other than what it means. He shot his mouth off. Doesn't mean that. Spilled the beans. Doesn't mean that. Here's a person 3 sheets to the wind. Does that mean that somebody's hanging 3 sheets on a clothesline? No, it means the person's drunk. Well, why don't they say he's drunk? Because it's a dark saying. It's a hidden meaning. And what did the Bible just tell you? Wisdom is understanding the dark sayings. And one of the things that Christianity and religion does not teach are the dark sayings. And what they do is they defy the Apostle Paul. And the Apostle Paul said, be not a minister of the letter. Do not take this book literally, because the letter kills. But be a minister of the Spirit, because the Spirit gives life. All right? So we consider the four horses of the Revelation, which is an unveiling. This is what we're going to talk about. So Revelation, first thing we're going to say, it's an unveiling. You're going to understand. The Shakyamuni Buddha says you need 3 things to survive in life. You need a document, you've got a Bible. You need to be able to understand it. Most people don't understand it. And the third thing, he says, once you have a document and you understand it, put it into practice. If it doesn't work, it's a fraud. If it works, follow it. But if it doesn't work, it's a fraud. Okay? Okay. So we get to the point of understanding that the apocalypse means we're going to have an unveiling. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about in the 4 horses is the word horse. What does the word horse mean? Okay, let me ask you a question. What is bologna? Bologna is a meat byproduct of some kind that they, put together and wrap it in a roll and then put it on white bread and, really nasty stuff, I think, anyhow. Now, when somebody is full of bologna, does that mean that they've had a lot of that to eat? And you can think of full of some other things too, but let's just say full of bologna and let it go at that for right now, okay? Okay. In the same way, horse, you know what a horse is. But a horse in mysticism does not mean horse in the context of Wild Bill Hickok or whatever. Horse is a symbol of understanding. It is a symbol of the mind, either higher or lower. Either understanding from the higher ranges of consciousness, which is the God side, or understanding of the lower side. I want you to listen to the Sata Bra of Krishna. It's called S-A-T-A Bra, B-R-A-H. Yea, as a horse that bears to the gods, that which conveys to the gods. Listen to this very carefully. That which conveys to the gods is indeed the mind. For it is the mind which conveys the wise man to the gods. Now listen to this next line. Thus man, which means the lower mind, does not rightly know the way to the heavenly world, but the horse knows. Once you understand horse, and once you understand horse means divine understanding, then it falls under what the Sata Bra is saying. The horse knows. There's a great intellect of Scripture named J. Garth Wilkinson, and he says, whenever the horse is mentioned in the Holy Word, it signifies true or false understanding, and this is valid in all instances. So what you are talking about when you talk about the 4 horses is you are talking about understanding. So we've had 2 things already. Revelation, which is the unveiling or enlightenment, and horse, which means understanding. You know what the ancient legend of Zoroaster is? I don't know how many of you understand it. And Zoroaster played a big part. Actually, Jesus Christ would not have been written up in the Bible as being discovered by the wise men if it was not for Zoroaster. Because Zoroaster was the Persian prophet from Iran, and he told the magicians who were the astrologers of the time, look into the sign Coma, and there you will find mother with child in Virgo, and that will lead you to the birth of the child. And these were astrologers who then followed that Virgo to Christ and proclaimed Jesus Christ as the king. It was astrologers who proclaimed Jesus Christ as king. They were from the tribe of Magi, which is a tribe out of Iran, and the chief prince was Zoroaster. Well, Zoroaster went through the same type of birth situation as did Jesus and Krishna. They tried to kill him as a child. And this was the beautiful story, the legend of Zoroaster. He was placed out in a field, and then these wild horses were turned loose, and he was to be trampled by the wild horses. But the lead horse was a white horse. And the white horse ran, and as it got near the baby lying, it raised itself up, and its mane was flowing, and its tail was flowing. And it came down, and it stood with its 4 legs around the child, Zoroaster. And it raised, and it whinnied, and it protected the child. And all the horses gathered around, and little Zoroaster was preserved by the white horse. Isn't that something? Can you see it? Can you see the little baby lying in the sand? And the white horse came and raised itself and just whinnied up into the sky, and then came down with its 4 legs straddling the baby, and nothing would come against that child. And all of the horses then gathered around. So this is in the same way we're understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita of Krishna, which describes the struggle between the left hemisphere of the brain and the right hemisphere of the brain. When Arjuna says, I don't understand, Krishna came between the 2 warring forces in a chariot pulled by a white horse. All right? Understanding. Understanding is the horse. And then it says about Jesus in Revelation 19:11, heaven opened. Well, why don't you look at it? Page 1013. You're only a couple of pages from there right now. Revelation chapter 19. In verse 11, okay? And I saw heaven opened up, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was faithful and true, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. And so then we have, this is the second coming. But most people in religious circles in Christianity literally believe that Jesus is coming back riding a white horse like the Lone Ranger. Because they don't stop to understand, what am I reading? This book was given to you by God so that you can understand yourself, you can understand nature, you can understand the universe, you can understand what's being said. All it takes is to mature a little bit, be a little bit grown up and say, is this man really going to come through the sky on a white horse, or are they trying to tell me something? The great Jewish theologian Moses Maimonides says, whenever you see something in the book, in the Bible, that says it's not common sense, stop there. God's trying to tell you something. And the more bizarre the letter, the deeper is the truth. Okay? So we'll understand in a moment Jesus coming back on a white horse. Have you ever seen the Tidal horse, the Pegasus? It's a perfect example. The winged Pegasus, the winged horse. There's your symbol of understanding. But why the wings? Because it soars upward. It's a higher understanding. The white horse or the winged Pegasus. It's a higher understanding. So what we then have, okay, is we understand apocalypse to mean revelation or unveiling. And we understand the horse to mean understanding. The mind. So now we've got to consider colors, because we've got 4 colors to deal with here. We've got red, we've got black, we've got pale, we've got white. Okay? The color red in mysticism, and the color red when you see it in the Bible, means the emotions. Pretty soon you're talking about Halloween. You're going to see little kids walking all over town with a little devil suit on, and it's going to be colored red. And he's going to have little horns on it, and what that signifies is the power of the emotions. That's why the devil's in a red suit. The Red Sea. They used the Red Sea allegorically. For God's sakes, the Red Sea never opened up. Things don't happen like that. When you think that it really happened, you miss that it does happen. The Red Sea is the churning emotions that try to drive you back to the bondage of the lower mind. And when you looked up a la Moses, the sea parts and you're able to get over to the right side to the promised land within yourself. It's allegory. It's what it said you read in a moment ago. Understand the dark sayings. We're dwelling on these things as if they really happened. If they really happened, then why don't they? Did they just stop because the book was over? They stopped because it never, ever occurred physically. God works in laws. But what he was saying is inside of you there is a churning Red Sea of emotions, and when that churns, that will block you from the understanding of wisdom. It will block you from the understanding of God. But if you will look up, that will part, and you will be able to cross over to the promised land. It's within you. I mean, the people stare at me. I didn't say the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus Christ said the kingdom of God is within you. I didn't say you could find it within yourself. Jesus said it. I didn't say you should cast your energy to the right side. Jesus Christ said it. But yet they'll dwell and they say that which is considered the mainline religion tells some man not to go in his backyard when God's mother shows up. That's okay, but this is a cult. Figure it. So it always means emotions. The color red means emotions. The color black means intellect. Why does the color black mean intellect? Your mind, your thinking process, trying to figure this out intellectually. What happens today? Well, today's not a good day, but when the sun is shining, the light is shining, the Christ is beaming down on all life. But then as the day starts to grow longer, that which comes from the west, the left side, don't you understand? When you look north, east is always on the right side, west is on the left side. The east side represents the right hemisphere of the brain, the west side represents the left hemisphere of the brain, which is the intellect. What is it that puts out the sun from the right side? The intellect from the left side. What is it that puts down the sun during the day? That which comes from the west. When the west encroaches, there is blackness all over the earth, and so the ancients made the west signify that which is darkness, or black, which is intellect. When you try to figure this stuff out intellectually, you are sitting in the darkness of the left side. And that's why the Bible says, not by might, not by power or whatever, but by spirit. The pale horse represents that which is the physical, the lower carnal mind, the lower aspects of the flesh, and the white horse, for obvious reasons, is the spirit. It is pure. It is free from all thought. That's why Jesus comes on a white horse. Listen, For God's sakes, you go to churches. They say he's going to come and set up his kingdom on the earth. Jesus Christ said, no, I'm not. My kingdom is not of this world. Who are you going to believe? Obviously, they believe. They flock into these places and they distort the thing. Jesus Christ said, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm not coming to set up any kingdom. And then say that Jesus is coming to rule and reign for 1,000 years. Jesus Christ said, no, I'm not. The kingdom does not come with observation. The kingdom is within you. That's what he said. So they say, ask him to come into your heart. In John 26:11, Jesus Christ says, don't ask me nothing. Go to God yourself. What's in you is in me. You can do better than I can. That's what he said. They can't deal with that. And so they hold you into the bondage of coming around singing Amazing Grace with a wretch am I, instead of understanding Jesus Christ wants you to be something special because you are special, something great because you are great. Jesus Christ did not come to this earth to say how great he was. He came to this earth to say how great you are. And Jesus Christ said how great, well, if Jesus Christ was standing here saying how great thou art, he'd be talking about you. How great they are, that's what he felt. It's religion that wants to put you in this place of being a stuzzball so that they can hang on to you and get you to come each week so they can save you. Don't fall for it. So we got these four colors. We got the unveiling. We got the horse, which means understanding. So now we see the unfolding of the fourfold nature, and we go to the number 4. When I was in New York speaking a couple of weeks ago, a young lady came up to me who teaches the Kabbalah in New York City. And she said, you know, you were talking about the number 9. She says, I wanted to tell you you're absolutely right. She says, do you know that every single letter in the Jewish alphabet has a numerical value to it? And she says that Christians and religion have no idea what's going on in the Bible because they don't understand the numerical value of the letters. And do you know that the number 9 is consciousness, that if you take the Jewish letters and add up the word Adam, do you know what it comes out to? 9. And who knows, if you take 666, what's it come out to? 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Every single number means something. There are 4 horses because the number 4 means something. It stands for the fourfold nature of emotions, intellect, physical, and spiritual. It stands for the 4 points of the compass. That's why the tribes of Israel are positioned north, east, west, and south as the 4 points of the compass in the book of Numbers. It's number 4. It's humanity. It's you. You have fourfold nature. Look, in the book of Daniel, there's 3 Hebrews. Do you know something? Do you know that religion believes that this guy threw 3 guys in a furnace and cooked them and that they were okay and they were sitting in there eating popcorn? I mean, they really believe this. Do you know what God is doing, sitting up in the sky somewhere, pulling his hair out, saying, I didn't think they were going to believe this. They really believe in this. What are we going to do? I mean, how are we going to get through to these people? They believe you put 4 guys in a furnace and turn up the fire as hot as it can get, and they're eating popcorn. I mean, folks, how are we going to grow up? How are we ever going to face life if we're taking these things which are written by Eastern mystics literally? Look, who they put in the furnace? 3. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Do you see what the 3 represent? Emotions, intellect, and physical. When the threefold part of your nature, of your emotions, your physical, and your intellectual starts to run into the passions of the flesh, you get ground up in the emotionalism and you can be destroyed. What's the number 7 mean? 7 means with the 7 chakras that Rose taught about the other night. The number 7 means intervention through the Kundalini, through the 7 chakras. Watch me. I want to show you something really neat in this book about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Go to page 726. Page 726. And you could go ahead, say he's a nut, say he's a crazy, say he's an occult, but you can still walk out of here and go anywhere you want and look this stuff up and say it's true. What he said is true. Who has ever done? What church have you ever gone to which ever told you what the numbers mean? What church have you ever gone to whatever told you what the horse means? Never, never. They say the horse is a horse. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. You're going to have to sing that one too. After you sing Bright in the Corner Where You Are.
That was me.
Oh, was that you? Oh, okay. All right. Who was that? Who was that? Oh, all right. They're bad today. They're really bad today. Okay, come on. We kind of got to hurry. Okay. Now watch this. Okay. Look at verse 23. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Your threefold nature is tied tight. You can't do a thing. Now watch, I'm going to show you. What did I say number 7 means? Divine intervention. Here's a coded tip in the Bible that something good's going to happen. Go to verse 19. Nebuchadnezzar, therefore he spoke and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it won't be heated. Okay? 7 times more than it won't be heated. There's a statement in there that something's going to happen. So now what occurs? You've got the emotions, you've got the intellect, you've got the physical. You're being destroyed by the passions within you. You're being burned up by everything that's going wrong in your life. You're being just smothered by all of the things that everybody's trying to shove down your throat. You're being smothered by the system. You're being smothered at home. You're being smothered at church. Everything is going wrong. And you're being burned up alive by all the passions that are just bursting from within you. And then look what happens through the intervention of the 7, through that kundalini, through the meditation. Look at verse 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar rose up and said, didn't we cast 3 men into the fire? And he answered, but look, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire. They have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like Son of God. Huh? When you bring the 4th, when you bring the Spirit, then it is the Spirit that joins the other 3 and puts out the flames of all of that which is trying to consume you and destroy you. So now we go on to the 4 horses of Revelation. Okay. Go to page 1005 in the Bible, the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6, verse 2. And I saw and behold a white horse. What do we understand it to mean? Understanding that is white. Understanding that comes from purity of mind. Understanding that comes from the Christ mind. You have that little thing I put in your hands there, okay? And basically what this is Leo. It is the pineal gland. It is God's throne. It is the sun. And look what it says. And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow. What does that mean? It means that when you are dwelling in the Christ consciousness, when you are dwelling in the purity of meditation, the thoughts will start to lift themselves upward and shoot, if they would, from you right into the bosom of God. That's why the bow. That's why the Sagittarian bow. Okay? Now, there's another very interesting thing. A crown was given unto him. Has anybody ever took the time in your church or in your religion to explain to you what that word crown means? In the 5 stages of consciousness in Greek. The first stage is earth, which is the lower mind. The second stage is water, which is the truth. The third stage is air, which is no thought. The 4th stage is fire, which is the spirit. The 5th stage is the new mind. Okay? All right. So this is actually baptism, when you take the lower mind into the water, which is the second stage of consciousness, rise up into the third, which is air, and then touched by the fire. This is where David Koresh and Christianity made such a terrible mistake. They're waiting for fire to consume the earth. They don't understand that the word fire means Holy Spirit. It is the 4th stage of consciousness. The Greeks knew it. They never stopped to explain it to anybody. There is no fire in the hands of God that burn people. The fire is the Spirit. That's why it says, John baptizes you with water, which is the truth. I shall baptize you with fire. I can baptize you with water. I can tell you the truth. I can tell you where to go. But once you go, then you will be baptized by the Christ who baptizes with fire when you rise up to the 4th stage of consciousness. Okay? Look at the Kabbalah. What are the 5 stages of mind in the Kabbalah? Okay, the lowest. Where am I? Okay. Okay. The lowest is action, which is the earth. The second is formation, which equates to water. The third is creation, which creates to air. The 4th is emanation, which is the manifestation, which creates the spirit. Emanation. And the 5th, get this, and this is why you'll see he's given a crown. The 5th stage of consciousness in Kabbalah is crown. is crowned. So then, when a person finds in meditation a touch from the divine, pure essence of Christ consciousness, their thoughts start raising themselves upward via the bow, they are given a crown, they then speak themselves into that higher realm of divine consciousness, which is the Christ mind. And it says he went forth in Revelation 6:2, conquering and to conquer. Conquering what? Conquering everything religion has given you. Fear, guilt, hurt, separation from people. Oh, my religion is the right religion. Once somebody tells you the right religion, their religion is the right religion, you know it's a fraud. There is only one God, and that is the God of all. And it's just as important to him of a woman with a veil walking down the streets in Iran as it is in some bozo hanging out in the church telling everybody they're guilty. And so that which is the white horse comes and does to you the same thing that it did to Zoroaster. It raises itself up within you, and it protects the child within you from all that would come to hurt you. And it doesn't make any difference who's coming to hurt you, whether it be a minister, it doesn't make any difference whether it's the law, it doesn't make any difference if it's the government, it doesn't make any difference if it's your parents or your best friend. Whoever it is, that white horse will stand within you and raise its, what do they call them, paws? Hoofs, up into the earth and protect you. And then, after you're protected, you'll turn around and you come out of your meditation and you'll say, who was that masked man? And you'll hear galloping down into the deserts of nirvana. And you'll say, Jesus, that's right, it was Jesus. The man. I'm kidding you, but this is what, well, I hope you know I'm kidding you. I mean, some of you are waiting in meditation to hear that. Who was that? You're probably right here. Him. Ron Ranger, me, Tonto. Okay, so this is the white horse. This is where we go. Let's go to Revelation 6:3 real quick. And when he had opened the second seal, and there went out another horse that was red. That's the emotional nature. That's the solar plexus. See Scorpio? See down at Pergamos, the solar plexus, the feeling, the Mars. Do you see any connection? The red horse, the red planet, Mars. Huh? Do you see the connection there? That which is, what is it that freaks the bull out? The color? Red, you know? Huh? Yes, and what do you say when you're really freaking out? Man, I'm seeing red. Okay. That's the emotional nature. And what do our emotions do? Watch. Look, let's read Revelation 6:3 together. And 6:4. And power was given to him that sat thereon, whoever sits on this red horse, to take peace from the earth. They should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. It destroys us from one another. I played this morning that Michael Jackson song. I'm sure there were people who could sit and say, how could you play this? He's a child abuser. Who said so? Anybody can say anything. Anybody can say whatever they want. And do you know what? Just like a bunch of sheep, we all say, oh, it must be true. And that's what they do up there. Oh, he's a cult leader down there. Oh, it must be true. He hangs out next to a Chinese restaurant so he can get all of the cats. Oh, he must be true. You know why? Because through religion we have sacrificed our ability to think as individuals. We can't think for ourselves anymore because we got to think the way they think. Meow, she said. Well, you know, and incidentally, it's a great Chinese restaurant, and there's no, you know, that's what, but you know, people will say, I've had people say that to me. They serve cats in those places. You know, what is, who said so? Because somebody said so, the next thing it's all over the place. Stupid. Well, you see in the book of Revelation, the great red dragon, the terrible destruction. Let's go to Revelation 6:5. When he had opened the third seal, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse. That's your carnal mind. That's intelligence. Huh? And look what he's got. And he that sat on him, Revelation 6:5, had a pair of balances in his hand. It decides. It evaluates. It weighs everything in the balance. And then what you'll say, well, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do that. It must be right. So-and-so told me. And all of these things you make decisions on. Instead of making decisions through the power of the white horse, which is meditation. But remember what the blackness of the West does. It encroaches on the light that rises from the east. The intellect of the left side cuts down the wisdom that comes from the right side. What do you have to do? You have to come in meditation and you have to give that. You know what the Bible says you have to do? You have to tithe. You have to give 10%. What is it that is 10% inside of you that actually is accruing to everything? Your mind. You use 10% of your mind. You use 10%, which is the left side. The Bible says, I want that 10%. Give me that 10% in meditation, and I'll open the right side. And what does your friends with the steeples and the gongs do? Say, oh, that means we want 10% of your money. Hang on to your wallet and give God 10%, which is the left side. He doesn't need your money or anybody else's money. The only thing that people have ever done with money in this world is destroy other people. What kind of bigger bombs can we make with all of your money? What kind of bigger lies can we make through religion with all of your money? And God says, I don't want money. I don't want anybody's money. I want you to give the 10%. Give me that which growing out of the left side, and I'll give you that which flourishes from the right side. That's the intellect. Where do the wise men come from? 2 months from now, you're going to be in church, and they're going to say, and the wise men came from the east. And nobody will ever say, who is the wise man? Do you know there is not one instance in the Bible when a wise man did not mean an astrologer? Not one. Every time wise man is written of in the Bible, it means an astrologer. So get them up, tell the truth, get in the church, let the little kids say. And then Madame Marie, the astrologer, came. And she said, there is a rising in the cusp of Virgo, left side, which is in accordance with Sagittarius. And I thought, oh, you can't do that. That's exactly what they did. But you can't tell the truth. Magi. Can't you even see the word magic? That's where it comes from. The Magi. But they came from the east. Why? When you look north, east is at the right side. And when the Christ child is born within you, wisdom comes from the right side. Wisdom comes from the east and brings you gifts of love and peace and healing. But we prefer that there was you know what I used to think when I was a kid? There was nobody to tell me. I used to think these guys were out in a Jeep going across the desert and looking for this. It's over there now, Charlie. Oh, yeah, let's go. Here it is. I used to think they'd followed this star around. And then the star came right over and pointed down here. But that star is the light that comes from the right side. That star is the light that comes from the east. And it points to where the child is born within you. And then finally in Revelation 6:6, we have that which is the, well, you know, I'll show you something. You see that Revelation 6:6? A measure of wheat for a penny. Wheat means wisdom. A penny is like Jesus said, if you have a mustard seed, that's all you've got to give. Practically absolutely nothing but a little bit of your time for wisdom. 3 measures of barley. You know what barley means? Love. Wisdom and love. 3 measures. Why 3? Because it gives you new life. Just that little bit of effort, that little bit that you pay into that which is God, that little bit of time that you sit in meditation for wisdom, that love which gives you the new life. And it says, look what it says, see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. The wine is the spirit, and the oil is a reference to that which flows up through the spinal cord. The ancients believed that rayed at the bottom of the spinal cord, and then through the power of Kundalini it raised up and touched the pineal gland and lit the light. That's why they said you should not have sex just before you're going to meditate. Right after, have a ball, but just before it, no. Okay? So that you can, and you know, it's like people get offended. Why should you get offended? It's an adult thing we're talking about here. All right? It's a very adult thing. So they said abstain from sex just before meditation, so there's oil in the lamp. And it gives you the 5 foolish virgins. They didn't have any oil in their lamp. I mean, are they going to waste time in the Bible talking about 5 whacked out women walking around, hey, where the heck, I can't light my lamp. Well, you're not coming to the party, but if you have oil in your lamp. You're talking about the 5 senses, sight, taste, touch, smell, and hearing. There's no oil in the lamp, which means it has spilled out through that which is the lasciviousness of the lower. There's nothing there to go rising up through the spinal cord and the higher. Take it, do whatever you want with it. Okay, the pale horse, Revelation 6:8. This is the physical. His name that sat on him was death. Why? Watch me very carefully. Intellect never dies. Emotions never die. Spirit never dies. The only thing that dies is the physical. Wow. The body is the only thing that dies. Everything that's physical dies. Nothing spiritual, nothing emotional, nothing intellectual ever dies. Can't. Do you want to hear something? Do you want to hear something that maybe this is the first time you ever heard it? Do you know that if a doctor does brain surgery on you, and Al, you're excluded from this one, but if a doctor does brain surgery on you, do you know that when he takes out your brain, and looks through it, he'll never find anything of your emotions. He'll never find anything of your intellect. Huh? He'll never find anything of your spirit. It's not there. But is it there? It's there. See? So it can't die. It can't be touched. It can't be found. It can't be seen. But you know it flows and it glows and it is part of your life. It is absolutely the part of you that exists forever. It is your ego, your personality. And when that body dies, all of that stuff just runs off to another body. As the guru said, all I know for sure is one day I'll be in another woman's womb. Okay? And that pale horse is the physical, the carnal mind. It says, power was given to him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword and the hunger. There's one thing that can destroy your emotional nature. There's one thing that can destroy your intellectual nature. And there's truly one thing that can destroy your physical nature. Your spiritual nature, not your physical. People don't, and I swear I'm not putting any people on guilt trips, but you will not go into meditation because you're comfortable. Hey, the ball game's on. I'm on the couch, you know. If you had any proof that this worked, even though Jesus said it works and Buddha said it works and Christians, if you had any proof that this worked, you leave the ball game, the couch, and the whole bit. You know, you couldn't wait because you don't believe it. You can't believe it. You have to experience it. You have to be part of it. The fact that Jesus told you to do it should be enough. Okay. So now look at one last thing. Hell followed with him because that's the lower physical aspects of the mind. So your four horses are lined up, folks. And now the starting gate has opened, and I'll tell you something. If the pale horse is in the lead, you're separated from God. You're separated from meditation, and physically you can suffer because you're consumed in that which is your own physical existence. If the black horse is leading, you're questioning everything. You're questioning the spirit. You're trying to analyze that which cannot be analyzed. Do you know why Christianity has missed it totally? Do you know why they're at odds with one another? Do you know that you can hardly find one Christian church that agrees with the other? All the denominations are split up. Oh, no, they're wrong. Yeah, they're right. No, they're wrong. Yeah, I think they're right. You know why? Because it's all done through the physical. It is not done through that which is the higher realms of consciousness. And so they're separated from one another. They're split from one another. And that's what happens when the black horse leads. You are missing nothingness. If the red horse leads, then you're at war with yourself. Then you're at war with yourself. And all that is around you. You're an emotional wreck, and you are looking for emotional aspects. And I've seen New Age people come in here just as bad as mainline people, and they're all looking for, they want to see smoke, they want to see people float around, they want to hear bells, they want to hear horns. They should go to a seance and all of this crap. Because nothing is going to touch them unless they see something whacked out. They don't understand that it is just to turn yourself into the Christ. And when these people understand it is not my physical body, it is not my emotions, it is not my intellect, but I am seeking that which is the mind of Christ, the body of Christ, the physical aspects of Christ. When I understand that I am sacrificing myself so that the Christ may flow from me, I don't want to see anything. People say, well, I saw this. Well, then stop eating pizza, because that's what it is. You get indigestion. I see things, too, when I get indigestion. Too much chocolate cake. I see all kinds of things. But if the white horse of meditation is leading, then you're going to conquer the other three. Then when you are put into the furnace by whatever it is, it's your bills, it's your health, it's your family, it's your whatever it may be, when you're put in that fiery furnace, the fourth man, the white horse, will come, and you'll be saved out of it. But you got to do it. You know what religion, Christianity is? Reading this thing. Reading it and 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 never doing what it says. It's like going into the restaurant over there and reading about chow mein and all of this stuff and never eating it. Yes, I enjoyed this. The menu, yes. Yeah. I'm going down to read the menu at the Mexican restaurant. Chimichangas, enchiladas. Hey, that's terrific. I'm going to go over to the Italian restaurant. Yeah, veal parmesan, chicken pie. Yeah, this is. I never eat it. So how do you know? How would you ever be able to know if you didn't eat the food? But they don't know, and that's why they've never taken it. They've always told people to wait until he's coming back. The very he that said, I'm not coming back to be seen. The very he that said, you're looking for me to come back. Oh, come on, let me show you something. Can I show you this? Let me show you. Somebody get me to John 14. John 14. We're going to show you where he's coming back. Page 880. I want you to read it with me. because it's important that you read it with me. And I want you to take my word for it. This Jesus Christ who said, my kingdom is not of this world, and they said he's going to set up this kingdom. This Jesus Christ who said the kingdom does not come with observation, and they say you're going to be able to see him. This Jesus Christ they say is going to come back. I got news for you. Watch and read his very own words, and then trust him with all of your heart. John chapter 14, verse 20. Read it out loud with me. At that day you shall know that I am in my Father, you in me, and I in you. What are you looking up there for when he said, I'm in here? Who said it? And now let's sing together. Carol, you could lead us. Let's sing together. Here we go. How do I know? The Bible told me so.
But they're afraid of this.
Come on, Carol, come up here.
Why?
Come up here, Carol. I'll make a way for you through the Red Sea. Here, come up, Carol. A way is made. Come on, Carol, come right up here. Go ahead, tell them.
These, I watch every evangelistic channel in the world, the Catholic, they are so frightened of this new age and these new beliefs. They want nothing of it. It's a sin, demonical. I mean, I can't believe these are intelligent people. I listen to bishops, you know, you name it, forget it. They don't want it. It's,
Why?
it scares them.
Right. Why?
It,
Come up here. Come up here. Hurry up. Come up here. Come up here. Come on, John, tell them, she set the ground. Why are they afraid of it?
They're afraid of it because they'll lose their revenue, their followings, their power, control, and rule. Tax write-offs, their property, their et cetera.
And what did Jesus say? Let it all fall down like a big load of... Right.
right.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wait, very good. You want to sing a little bit of your song?
No,
Okay,
not
okay.
today.
So that's that. And so there are the four horses of Revelation, the four aspects of your mind, what they can do to you if you let them, or what they can do for you if you let them. And that depends on you obeying the Christ and finding that which is the kingdom within you. And you have to not trust me because you can't, because I'm only a person. You can't trust any person. But you do have the words of Christ. He's the one that said the kingdom is in you. He's the one that says don't ask him for anything. He's the one that said that he's not going to ask God for you. He's the one that said you can do better than he can. He's the one that said of his own self he could do nothing. All of these things. But most important, he said, do you hear the zippers?
He said that, no? You're done. That's what he said.
That means...
Silver and gold.
Don't drop it. It's not bound.
Why did you do this? Because I'm done? Is that what you're saying? Do you know? I don't know. They don't sound... In this church, it's not chimes that go, you know? When it's over and she said, you've said enough, this is what you hear. Then I always look down to say, oh, it's not me. Maybe it's Don. So whatever I was saying, you know, it's good. Okay, we did good. And I hope that you can walk out of here, walk through that door and have a little understanding of the reality of this very mature God who expected that we as adults would approach these things as adult, mature people and not worry about four horses charging across the clouds ready to beat up everybody, but understanding there are four parts of you that are ready to really save and lift you up if you'll only follow the instructions of Jesus Christ who said, hey, the kingdom is within you, look for it, practice the single eye, cast your energy to the right side, and then all of the things that I do, you'll do and you'll do better than me. That's a lot of courage. I haven't heard too many religion people tell me I can do better than Jesus because they don't believe it. And so they leave everybody in the same wrathful mess that they've been in all of their lives, not realizing that Jesus wanted you to be better than him. He said it, and if he said it, he meant it. And that's the kind of a guy you can follow. He wasn't interested in building himself up. He was interested in building you up.